Tennessee, a homecoming winner here on this Saturday afternoon over UT Martin. Final score 65-24. Eric Cain and Austin Price here at Volquest.com. Biggest takeaways. Heupel did a trick play, double pass to go to the end zone, up $1 million in the first half, and he went to the end zone on the last play of the game. Thought that was funny, but obviously no injuries. He got out of here injury scathed, and that you couldn't say that against the Akron game, obviously, with Cedric Tillman. But a fun afternoon and a game that was ultimately meaningless, but still almost 700 yards total offense.
Yeah, it was kind of a quick handshake there at the end. I mean, it was. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, I don't think they were going to sit there and chew the fat after the game. There was going to be no hugs. The Martin coaches, they were kind of trying to rile Jason up there, and he kind of stayed pretty reserved about it. But a lot of the assistants and football ops people were, that's BS, and throwing to the end zone there at the end. I mean, hey, the one thing I noticed was, the one thing I'll take is, you go to my post-game question to Hendon about this offense, and what did he say? He said, Coach lets us just play. Like, there are no kind of restrictions on us.
No.
Well, maybe that goes for, Gaston Moore there at the end of the game.
And it should. Because those guys are practicing every single day as well. That's my biggest thing, too. It's like, you see this in high school as well.
I mean, he took Hendon Hooker out before halftime.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. You would never have predicted that because you think they keep him in there too long all the time.
Yeah.
He took him out before the half. He really kind of sat on the ball early for a good portion of the second half. Now, he took some deep shots. Why did he take deep shots? Because UT Martin was playing 9 in the box.
Yeah.
So they were just going to continue to run into, these big piles. So it's like, I'm going to loosen it up, so I'll just take some deep shots. Well, I mean, you got, Captain Strongarm back there heaving it all over the earth, throwing to Squirrel White.
Hey, what about the double pass? It gives you something else to prepare for because you can run a couple different things off that. You want to get it on
Sure,
tape,
man. I mean, I'm with you. I had no issue with it. It's first half. Anything in the first half is game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If it's in the second half, maybe because I had one of the guys up here in the press box was like, man, I just thought that was kind of, were you surprised by that? And I'm like, it's first half.
Yeah.
I mean, like any starter that plays in the first half, no matter what the score is, I'm not gonna hate on it. I mean, it's the first half.
Yeah.
You work hard all week. I mean, it's kind of like Alcoa goes out there and they bludgeon these teams every week at the high school ranks. Is it fair that the offensive lineman or the quarterback or the running back at Alcoa only plays a quarter? No.
Yeah.
I mean, same thing here. I mean, again, he took Hendon out before the first half was over. I mean, I got no issues with it.
Oh, I had no issues with it. I just,
I know everybody's wanting, listen. People keep receipts, man. I mean, and I'm not saying there's some receipts on The Simpsons because I don't believe that, but I think that they weren't going to let up. I think he kind of did let up, and to think otherwise is silly to me because Tennessee could have hung 80 to 100 on them if they wanted to, and they didn't.
Slowed it down in the second half for sure, and I'm 100% right there. You even see it in the high school ranks whenever people get all bent out of shape because the team scores a ton. Well, if you're still scoring with the backups in, they deserve an opportunity to go out there and run the offense.
Yeah, it's kind of like I've for years these high school coaches. Am I supposed to tell my backups to take a knee? Is that fair to the third string tailback who busts his butt every day in practice to say, hey, man, I know you could have scored there, but you just got to just slide, go down. We got to get the thing. That ain't fair. I mean, if UT Martin wants to stop them, then stop them. And they picked the ball off. I mean, I didn't see them sliding down right away. He ran it back 25 yards and finally jogged out of bounds. I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. Tennessee's passed these two games. Now they're on to Kentucky and the Final Five. They're past the last out of conference game, and now they're into the Final Five against Kentucky, which will be again, dark mode and probably a blackout for next week.
I mean, there's really not much to take from this football game. Again, it's an FCS opponent, and like we said all week, I mean, I said it in the first glance, I've said it on my shows this week. I mean, UT Martin, obviously, as you saw, I mean, the offense got a little bit of an up-tempo. It's got a quarterback that can sling it. They do well offensively. They do well in the Ohio Valley Conference. They won the conference a year ago, but still, this is no challenge for one of the best teams in the country in Tennessee. But when you look at the numbers on the stat sheet, almost 700 yards of total offense. We're talking 4 yards away from 700 yards of total offense. Tennessee almost threw for 500 yards. And when you have some of these guys that are going to be in contention for some postseason awards, Austin, obviously Hendon Hooker, a lot of Heisman talk, Jalen Hyatt's up there with the Blitnikoff as well. I mean, you look at the stats. They got in, they got out, and they padded those stats. 18 to 24, 276, 3 touchdowns. That's Hendon Hooker. 7 catches, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's Jalen Hyatt. I mean, again, it was good. Get in a little work, get out, and that's what Tennessee's offense did for the most part today.
Well, you did what you were supposed to do. You did what you were supposed to do against Akron, against Ball State, now, UT Martin. So, kudos to the staff for going and getting it done.
And kudos for getting them ready to play. Again, that was one of the big questions I kind of had. I didn't talk about it much this week, but would there be any type of hangover because it was emotional over Alabama?
It was, but, dude, the leaders on this team aren't real emotional. Like, if you think about, like, the guys that lead them, Trayvon Flowers, Hendon Hooker, Darnell Wright, or any of those other guys, that are upperclassmen, they're pretty steady Eddie. Like, they don't get, real out there in their feelings. Now, I think Jeremy Banks plays with a lot of emotions. But again, I'm talking about the guys that, that go out there for the coin toss, the captains.
Yeah.
The big leaders on this team are really kind of
the Brooks, the McGraths.
Sure. They just have kind of been real steady Eddie, and I think that allows them to continue to kind of rebound and bounce back. And I think this team takes a lot of pride in how they're playing. As Ramel said, the people that were here, from the previous staff, they don't want to feel the way they felt, a couple years ago. They like this feeling, and I think they're going to continue to try to keep it up. Kentucky, they're a solid football team, but if Tennessee plays the way they've been playing, Kentucky can't touch them, and that's just facts.
I agree. A lot of guys played in this football game. We'll go back. I'm going to rewatch the game later tonight. I know Hubs will, and we'll talk about it all week long. But a lot of guys got on tape today. I thought that it was a little sloppy from some reserves, and that's to be expected a little bit. Obviously, you had UT Martin that went and scored a couple times, but you got down to a point in time where you didn't have many cornerbacks whatsoever. William Wright pressed into action again there in the first half and comes up with an interception in the first quarter. I thought that was a unique story, obviously. But a lot of guys got in, a lot of guys got on tape. I think Tennessee, top to bottom as a roster, I think this game shows you that they still have a little ways to go. But that's what these type of games are for, to get reps, to get better. Anybody in the reserve pool kind of stand out to you today?
Nobody knew. I mean, Elijah Herring, Josh Joseph,
Tyree West
flash
a little bit.
If he'll just hang in there and get past the fact he's not really playing a whole lot, which all young kids kind of hit that wall when they're used to being starters. James Pierce has got such a level coming off the edge that, he is going to be filthy. Now, again, he's got to just hang in there and, battle through it. I think that's hard, especially when another guy that you came into class with is playing a lot and you're not, right?
Yeah.
And at the end, James got that late 5th star that maybe changes the mindset in his mind, people around his mind. And again, I'm not saying he's getting ready to transfer. I don't believe that at all. But he's got to hang in there mentally. Because mentally, you can tank. Look at last year with Jalen Hyatt. He tanked when he wasn't playing last year. Now, he responded and went to work, and look what happened this year. He's got 2 more touchdowns today. He's now 12 through 7 games, 1 off of Marcus Nash's school record of 13.
Yep.
He's balling. So James Pierce mentally has got to stay in there because you never know when you may need him down the stretch or you may need him, a year from now. You've got to kind of hang in there.
And again, this is the first time a lot of these freshmen have never played football. They've never experienced anything like this. And I'm with you, man. James Pierce has got, you can just see it, his explosion off the line of scrimmage, the way he uses his hands. Joshua Jones is a little bit more polished coming in here. That's why he's playing a whole lot, but that doesn't mean that Pierce won't be a player down the line. Last thing, again, not a whole lot of takeaways from this one, but I mentioned William Wright. I think one of the unique stories the last 2 weeks. Princeton fan, dude. He dropped what would have been a touchdown, which is unfortunate, but he ran for 2. He threw for 1. He's a tight end. What a weapon that he's kind of developed and putting, again, a lot on tape for Kentucky, for Georgia, for everybody else to prepare for.
Yeah, I mean, what he's done, especially early in the year, he had those drops, and we talked about this last week. He had those drops, had the fumble against Florida, and ever since then, he has been really, really good. And again, a kid that's been in 6th year in the program, just kind of enjoying the process, enjoying this ride that Tennessee's on.
It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch, no doubt. 65-24. Tennessee a winner over UT Martin. 5 games remaining, beginning with Kentucky next Saturday, 7 o'clock. It's going to get dark, and so we're looking forward to that. Of course, Georgia after that. But Tennessee 7-0. We'll see how Tennessee can finish this regular season. It's going to be a whole lot of fun either way. For Austin Price, I am Eric Cain. Tennessee a 65-24 winner over UT Martin here at Neyland Stadium on a Saturday afternoon.